serious breaking news. A grand jury in New York has decided it will indict President Donald Trump.
This is an historic day. Donald Trump indicted.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch and to the latest gripping episode of The Trump Show, in which the former president has turned his imminent arrest over paying hush money to a porn star into a huge fundraising opportunity and media bonanza, thus proving yet again that in spite of everything, he is still the hottest story in town.
Are we going to see the former president have the police say you have the right to remain silent, fingerprinted, photographed, handcuffed?
It's the image the world's media are thirsty for, and one that's sure to be exploited by Trump himself, as Sky's Annalise Nielsen explained on Friday.
This has helped his campaign so far. He's raised money off the back of it. It's giving him publicity, and you can bet that mugshot's going to be a central feature of his campaign.
And sure enough, one of Trump's political strategists was soon beaming in from an American freeway to spell out the campaign to come.
I would be running campaign ads using impeachment 1, impeachment 2, the Mar-a-Lago raid, and now this ridiculous arrest and indictment, or I should say indictment now. And I would use that because they're targeting him because he's putting the American people first.
You can hear the jingle already. So, how did the latest episode begin? Well, wind back 2 weeks to this.
He announced that from media leaks he has seen, he believes he will be arrested this coming Tuesday.
Trump's post on Truth Social put his arrest in the calendar for 21st of March and urged his supporters to protest and take the nation back. So, it was no great surprise that even the Australian media were pumped, with daily TV coverage in the lead-up.
Donald Trump facing arrest, the former president urging his followers to protest if he's taken into custody.
How likely are we to see the big fella in handcuffs?
And as the big day got closer,
police in New York are preparing for riots with the expected arrest overnight of former President Donald Trump.
And reporters were still camped outside the court, waiting for action, even after it was supposed to happen. But day after day brought nothing, with no sign and no word. And by Thursday, Seven's David Koch was showing his frustration.
Got to admit, Ash, I have no idea what the hell's going on now. What's the hold-up?
Well, Koshi, I think anyone who says they do know what's going on is lying.
And it was the same story in the US and the UK.
He spoke about being arrested on Tuesday. We're yet to see that.
It's day 4 of Trump Indictment Watch 2023, and still nothing. We basically all went into labor, and 4 days later, we're still chewing on ice chips. Do you know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, Trump was turning the chaos to his advantage, branding the New York grand jury hearings a witch hunt and sending out daily emails to his supporters, pleading for funds and telling them,
"These are truly dark times. The deep state and George Soros's globalist cabal of thugs think that by coming for me, they can intimidate you out of voting for a president who will always put the people first."
Trump has already raised around $7 million since his arrest was mooted. He's also gaining in the polls, with Fox News putting him 30 points ahead of his closest rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, among Republican primary voters. And his old friends at Fox, who haven't had him on since November, were giving him a platform to go on the attack.
Ron came to see me, tears in his eyes. He said, "I need you to do me a big favor." And he was desperate. I said, "Okay." I gave him a nice endorsement. I said, "You write out what you'd like and let me see it." He wrote it out. I thought it was terrible. I changed it, made it great.
So where has it all landed? Well, Trump is expected to be arrested Tuesday, US time, where he will plead not guilty. And after that,
Donald Trump has announced he will hold a press conference after the charges against him are unveiled in a Manhattan court. Live to US correspondent Tim Lester now. Tim, the former president has summoned the media to his Florida estate.
So stand by for the biggest circus of all, because Trump's strategists are looking forward to it. As Jason Meister told Sky News on Friday,
I think they essentially just handed Donald Trump the keys to the White House in 2024, and they certainly gave him the nomination for the Republican candidate for president.
Not sure that's right, but one thing is certain. Trump's arrest and his reaction to it will make America even more divided than it is now as we approach next year's US election. But now to a much-loved AFL icon and a 7 News exclusive that left viewers and medical experts fuming.
Tonight on 7 News, Daisy's ordeal. targeted, shamed, left struggling. How Dale Thomas beat the odds. His story exclusively. 7 News with Peter Mitchell at 6.
That tearjerker on 7 News aired on the 6 p.m. bulletins last Monday across Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania. And what was the dramatic exclusive revelation? Well, in opening up to viewers about his struggle with life after football, Dale Thomas told 7's Blake Johnson, wait for it,
As a new medical weight loss program has changed his eating habits for the better.
This isn't just some sort of cowboy treatment, it's clinically approved.
Wow. This weight-shedding marvel, viewers are told, came from an online men's telehealth service called Pilot. And how did it help Thomas lose 10 kilograms?
It's a once-a-day injection that's part of a tailored weight loss program.
Without Pilot, it'd be interesting. I assume I'd still be a lot larger than what I am now.
So why on earth was this story on the news? And how did it get there? Well, it was served up to 7 on a plate by the company, because Dale Thomas is a Pilot ambassador who appears in ads for the company and is presumably paid to spruik the product. And Dr. Ramit Vishay, who told viewers how good the program is, also appears in Pilot ads and is also flying the weight loss plane.
The Pilot program is holistic in nature, so we overcome some of the strong physiological drives that drive obesity in this generation.
Vishay is Pilot's medical advisor in New South Wales, for which he presumably is paid as well. And even more remarkably, the footage of Dr. Bishay's interview was recorded by Pilot and provided to 7. Yet the network told viewers none of this and passed it off as genuine news. So, how did this shameless promotion of Pilot's weight loss medication go down with viewers? Not good, and they took to social media to vent their frustration.
News? This is an infomercial.
Sorry, but that sounds like a weight loss commercial. A bit of a nothing story.
Another promo for whose benefit?
Well, Pilot's, of course. But sadly, not for viewers, because while 7 News was doing its puff piece, it missed a real news story on telehealth weight loss services like Pilot, which is on the front page of The Australian next day.
Warning on online weight loss jabs.
Australia's medicines regulator has raised concerns that online telehealth companies are advertising they can prescribe popular weight loss injections without patients ever having to talk to a doctor in real time.
Yes, Pilot would appear to be one of several telehealth businesses that regulators have their sights on. And while 7 News missed that story, many others in the media, including 7's own Sunrise programme, did not.
There are growing concerns over popular weight loss injections being used by patients without needing to speak directly with a doctor.
Instead, consumers are given an online quiz, which is supposedly reviewed by a doctor.
The National Healthcare Regulator and the Medical Board of Australia are determined that this should change. And they'd like to see a crackdown on sites like Pilot, which would require patients to talk to a doctor in real time before getting a script. As AMA President Professor Steve Robson told 10's Narelda Jacobs.
We just think as a principle, if you're going to use an injectable medication every day, you need to do this with your family doctor. It's just incredible that you can do a few questions online, not be certain about what's going on at the other end and get injections sent to you.
And former Deputy Chief Medical Officer Nick Coatsworth reinforced those warnings on 9's Today Show.
I think for weight loss medications, weight loss advice, this is something that don't go online, don't go to Dr. Google. These are complicated medications and weight loss is a complicated and difficult thing.
So how does 7 News justify its uncritical promotion of Pilot's weight loss program, which had only this rider?
But some doctors, including the AMA, caution against using pharmaceuticals to solve every problem.
And how does it defend putting that guff on the news and not telling viewers that Dale Thomas and Dr. Vishay are Pilot ambassadors and that the company pre-packaged some of 7's glowing report? Well, put simply, it doesn't. We put the questions to 7, it would only say there was no commercial arrangement with Pilot or others in relation to the story. We also put questions to Dr. Vishay and Dale Thomas's manager. Both failed to respond. Pilot's parent company Eucalyptus told us that they have robust and thorough prescribing protocols and that it told 40% of patients they needed to see their family doctor first. It also told us
no payment or commercial agreement was entered into with Channel 7 regarding this story, which is about a legitimate matter of public interest.
Well, if 7 had done the story properly, it certainly would be. But for many viewers, this news story looked just like an ad. And Pilot was so impressed with it, they turned it into an ad on Facebook and Instagram. Well done, 7 News. Not. But now, let's go to the man cave at Sky, which last week featured none other than...
The great man Mark Latham has joined us all the way through the campaign, all year, and at least for the next 4 years, or 8, because he's just been re-elected. None other than the great man in the man cave right now. Congratulations on re-election.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
And with a spring in his step, the New South Wales One Nation leader set about bagging his critics and taking aim at ABC Radio for not having him on the air.
Now, what does that tell you? It's a disgusting level of bias to think this taxpayer-funded lefty sinkhole has a bias to the point where the leader of One Nation doesn't get a Sydney radio interview, the city in which I live, for 4 years.
Now, you can argue that Auntie's lefty sinkhole, or ABC Sydney, should have entertained Latham at least once over that period, or perhaps several times. But next day, the man who could have been our Prime Minister was reminding everyone why you wouldn't give him a platform with this vile, graphic and homophobic tweet, which is so offensive we're only showing a sanitised version. Latham's tweet bounced around on Twitter for several hours before he deleted it. But with plenty of time for it to hit its target, New South Wales MP Alex Greenwich, who is openly gay and who had earlier called Latham
a disgusting human being, extremely hateful and dangerous.
Yes, those comments were made before Latham's offensive tweet, which, not surprisingly, was quickly and universally condemned.
The appalling Mark Latham tweet directed at a rival. And it's shocked the political world.
And that is something of an understatement, because everyone was lining up to take aim.
Look, I was just physically sick about it.
Nothing short of disgraceful and despicable.
These comments are unacceptable and disgusting comments unbecoming for a Member of Parliament to make.
And will anyone hold Latham to account? Well, his boss, Pauline Hanson, was doing her best.
I think they are disgusting. I've actually tried to ring Mark a couple of times, to no avail, and also I've asked him to give the people an apology.
No doubt Andrew Bolt was also hoping to suggest Latham apologise that night.
But as you can see, no Mark, and nor will there ever be.
Now, Andrew Bolt has banned Mark Latham before. Indeed, it's only 2 weeks since Bolt was burying the hatchet and getting the New South Wales One Nation leader back on his show. But this time, Bolt is adamant he has used up his 9 lives.
Never again. This tweet was so disgusting, so homophobic and so vile in a pornographic way that I cannot even hint at what he said about a gay politician, Alex Greenwich. But it was the kind of thing a scumbag would write.
A tweet that is so bad, Bolt says, Latham will never live it down.
He will be a pariah, and not just here at Sky.
But will this time really be any different? Because we've seen Latham banished from Sky before and written off for stuff that was almost as bad. Like this at the Melbourne Writers' Festival in 2015, which we featured on Media Watch.
What's wrong with a bit of unfiltered conversation and the word fuck and I mean, they're on the front page of the Australian, so they've been legitimised. So let's get right into it. Fuck, poo, bum.
That outburst, long before he joined One Nation, followed this response to journalists 2 weeks earlier, when they proved his real Mark Latham Twitter account was genuine and not some foul-mouthed parody.
Hey, BuzzFed arsewipe. Hey, BuzzFed fuckface. Hey, BuzzFed dipstick. Hey, BuzzFed Sherlock. I'm actually the Bucks Night porno man, rooting a two-headed donkey while sending out this tweeter crap.
Latham had used that Twitter account to fire off this offensive message to transgender military officer Kate McGregor.
When you were wearing a nappy asking to suckle middle-aged women, you looked like a he, she. Or was that a different person?
Yet 2 years later, the outrage had died down and Latham was fronting Sky's Sunday morning talk show Outsiders. And he was using his pulpit to abuse the popular ABC radio host Wendy Harmer, who had enjoyed a successful FM career.
She's a proven commercial failure, so naturally she got a job at ABC Radio at the sheltered workshop there for all the lefties. She got that job, she fits the criteria, she's female, she's got a disability, that's what they mean by diversity.
That wasn't enough to get Latham fired from Sky, nor were verbal attacks on 2 of his fellow network hosts. But 2 days later, Sky did sack him after he took aim at students from Sydney Boys High, calling one of them gay and total dickheads after producing a video in support of International Women's Day. And to judge by his latest outburst, he has not changed one bit. Nor has he said sorry. After 24 hours of silence, he answered his critics with a new tweet saying, "Never apologise, never explain." So, what happens next? Last Wednesday, Paul Murray finished their regular chat like this.
By the oath, Mark Latham, leader of One Nation, back again next week.
We'll find out in 2 days' time if he is or not. And that's all from us for tonight. There's more on our website, including statements from 7 News, Eucalyptus and the Medical Board of Australia. No show next week because of Easter, but don't miss Media Bites on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. Until then, goodbye.